Okay, she said we're live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the North Central regular December board meeting. It is December 15th. It's now 6:33. We will say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Smeltzer, call the roll, please.
Lee,
Here.
Anthony,
Here.
Homer,
Here.
Tim,
Here.
Shane.
Any item from any board members?
I just want to do my usual reach out and thank our staff and administration and really commend a good effort with our remote learning. I think Andy, Marcia, their team done a great job. Heard a lot of great things about it. Ran a lot smoother than the initial one that happened when we shut down last year. So just want to reach out and thank everybody again for a job well done.
Well, I want to concur with Anthony on that one. I've heard some good things also. Anyone else got any comments?
Yes, Mr. Hannick, whether it's now is the time or later in the meeting, if we could have you just reiterate that the funds from the proposed levy will not be used for the football program.
Okay.
Any guess? I don't believe there is. Treasurer's report, Mr. Smeltzer.
Okay, I've got a few items on the agenda here. The first one, item A, minutes from the November 17th regular meeting. Item B, financial statements and investments from November. And item C, appropriation additions that you can see listed there. $5,000 total for the general fund and capital outlay. And then other funds, which all three of those are grant funds totaling $32,898.79. Item D, approving the attached resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor for the 2020-2021 school year. And our 2009 emergency substitute levy is increasing from 6.3 mils to 6.4. So those are the four items that I have on the agenda. I did have a little bit of other information that I wanted to share. Been digging into the 5-year forecast just to share more detailed numbers, just to help explain the need for additional revenue that we've been talking about now for the last couple of years. Mr. Hannick and I have done a lot of discussing, and we've come up with an amount that we feel that we should have in reserve at all times, which we have come up with $4 million is what the number that we would like to see that we have sitting in reserve, kind of like, a rainy day fund. What $4 million equates to would be 180 days or 6 months. So that number we came up with, we figured 6 months is a good number that we should be aiming for to have in reserve at all times. So breaking down some of the numbers, and the numbers I'm going to share are all general fund numbers. Our daily average general fund expenditures is $22,109. Our average monthly general fund expenditures, $672,474. So those two numbers, I think, kind of give us some more detail when we look at the 5-year forecast and we look at deficits and whether we have revenue above our expenditures each year. So at the end of fiscal year 20, we were sitting at $2,152,000 in our general fund, which that equates to 97 days or just over 3 months that we had in reserve at the end of the past fiscal year. As of November 30th of our current fiscal year, we were at $2,529,000, which is 114 days or about 3 3/4 months in reserve. And you can see that number has went up, about $400,000 since the beginning of the fiscal year. And that is due to that we get our money from the county auditor for our real estate taxes twice a year, once in August and once in May. So that, excuse me, not May, March. So you can see how there's an increase right now because of that, but also because we are using many grant funds right now because of COVID, that we're trying to offset as many general fund expenditures as we can. So looking deeper into the future, at the end of fiscal year 24, the current 5-year forecast projection is that we would have $903,000 in reserve at the end of that fiscal year, which is 41 days or 1.34 months. So that's 3.5 years from now is what we're talking. And at the end of fiscal year 25, just 1 year later, we are at $103,000 in reserve. So we have 5 days in reserve at the end of fiscal year 25 if we continue on track where we are right now with spending and no new revenue. So with all that information said, I just had a couple of points here that I jotted down as I was going through that I'll share. Like I've mentioned, we are doing what we can currently to offset this year's projected deficit by using grant funds to offset our general fund expenditures where allowable. These grants mostly, though, are only going to be, they're mainly from COVID, and they're only going to be allowed to be used for this 1 year. So it's not something that we're going to continue to get. So you can see how we're definitely going to try to take that deficit we projected this year. Hopefully we have, a couple $100,000 revenue above our expenditures, but that's only going to be a 1 year thing because of the money we're getting in grants and that we're using to offset our general fund expenditures. The last point I had down here is that, we're making cuts where we can already, and we've already started that. It's only a short-term solution. We are still going to need that new revenue source along with reducing our costs to put this district in a position that gives our kids the best opportunities they can have. And I think we truly feel that way here, administration, board, and everybody. So just some information that I had been breaking down here over the last month into more detail, just thought I would share with the board. Don't know if you guys have any further questions in regards to that. Hopefully it wasn't confusing. Be more than happy to answer any questions though, or make things clearer if I can.
Eric, I know you commented, a 6-month reserve, $4 million. You've been here, 10 years or more than 10 years? I mean, we've never had that in reserve. I mean, just to give
Correct.
people an idea. I mean, we've always just been getting by, scratching by. And
I think, where we're at right now with 2.5 million right now currently, that's probably one of the higher numbers where we've been at the end of a fiscal year is about 2.5 million. I don't think since I've been here for 13 years that we've had 3 million in the bank at the end of a fiscal year.
Yeah. Do you have a rough idea, like you said, all this extra COVID funding? I know it's a one-timer, and I think you guys who've been doing a lot of legwork, getting all these different grants and everything. You got any rough idea how much extra revenue that's brought in with all these different grants we've applied for?
Oh, I don't want to give you an exact number. I didn't total it up, but it's got to be somewhere $250,000 to $300,000 that we've gotten probably from COVID relief funds. So, that's definitely going to put a dent into that deficit that we had projected for this year, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Yep. And maybe touching on what Lee brought up at the beginning about football. I know our season's been wrapped up. How are we looking with that? I know we have year end probably coaches to pay and everything getting settled up in that regards.
Yep. I have sent out the last invoice to the football boosters for what they owe us for the rest of not for the rest, but for what has ended now, the season. So that invoice, it has not been paid yet, but I expect that payment sometime here in the near future.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
And Eric, that was sent out at least a couple weeks ago already.
Yeah, it was in November.
Okay.
I want to say November 11th maybe was the exact date. I don't have it with me, but I want to say it was November 11th.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Smeltzer before we vote?
Barring no other discussion, I'll move to accept the minutes as read, finance report.
All right. My picture keeps going away, which is probably a good thing, guys. We all know that. Okay, I've got a motion from Mr. Livengood on approving the treasurer's report. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Oh,
I had a second by Shane. Any other questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Anthony,
yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Hannick, you're on.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody's having a good night. We are looking at our numbers first here right now as of let's see, December 11th. We had 609 total students. We've got 68 students on Nova, which is our online program. We have open enrolled out is a number I generally touch on. We have 81, 32 of those are to Wayne or to West Unity Hilltop. And 1 year ago on 12/21/19, roughly a year ago, a little less than a year ago, we were at 618 students. So we are continuing to climb back to our student numbers, which that's a good sign. I want to, on my bullet point number 2, I want to again take the time to thank Madison Township again this month. As you remember, last month I thanked them because they made a donation to us. This month they made another donation of their CARES funds of $7,769.60. They've donated approximately $28,000 to us, and Bridgewater donated $39,000. So to touch on Mr. Smeltzer's point, this money that's being donated is going back into our general fund, crediting the things that we have bought for the COVID. We received about $35,000 from our CARES Act, and we've spent about $90,000 to date. So we've been able to offset that cost, which again offsets a deficit. So we're fortunate that our communities have stepped up to help us out in this regard.
Bill, do you mind if I hop in there?
You go right ahead.
That number I gave Anthony, 250,000, that was including our student wellness funds money as well, not just COVID. I just thought of that. So
Right. And student wellness, we got 281,000 for that. And what we've been, but I'll get to that later. We're going to talk about that. But anyways, so when you think about that right there, when we spent 90, that pretty much offsets all of that. Now it isn't going to offset it for the whole year, but what a nice way to pay off that COVID-19 expenditures up to now. I wanted to give everybody a COVID-19 update, just kind of a general update of what's been going on. We've had 25 positive cases to date. And this is when this whole year started. We've had 10 students and 15 staff, which is 25. We have had over 200 kids quarantined or positive, and 43 staff either quarantined or positive since this whole thing started. Obviously, you know that there's 15 staff and 10 students. Today, just to give you an idea where we're at just today, which is December 15th, we at North Central Junior High School, we had 2 staff members out, 46 students out, and 38 of those were quarantined. At the elementary, North Central Elementary, we had 3 staff out today. We had 50 students out, and 16 of those were quarantined. So we have kind of come back, and that's a good thing. So has anybody got any questions? I just wanted to kind of give you a point in time exact where we've been and where we currently are. So if you get asked, that's kind of the place that we stand, and things are they seem to be getting better. Obviously, we're coming up on Christmas break, and Thanksgiving was supposed to be, a troublesome time, and then Christmas could, as people get together. Okay, has anybody got any questions? Okay, the next thing I want to go over is food and nutritional standards. What I'm doing is, with the food and nutritional standards, we are supposed to have available for anybody that asks. Each district or school will provide copies of the report available to the public upon request. District or school information. State law in Ohio requires each district or board of education and each chartered non-public school or governing authority to adopt and enforce nutrition standards governing the types of food and beverages available for sale on the premises of its schools. Additionally, the board or governing authority must specify a time and place of each of the food beverages available for sale. The standards specified for beverages and food are minimum standards. So what I've done is I put together this packet, and in this packet, in case anybody asks, we have our policies from Neola, who's our policy people that are online. We have our food services policy here, which would be policy 8500. I've attached our wellness policy, which is policy 8510. Covers all the wellness. I've attached policy number 8531, which is our free and reduced price meals. And I've attached our vending machines policy, which is 8540, and our competitive food sales, which is 8555. And then my job is to make sure that I have this, and then I report that I've reported out to the board, and when you guys knew that we had it. So that's that. If anybody has any questions, you all have a packet of it, and I have it available here at the board office. That's referring to annual presentation on food and nutrition standards. And Mr. Taylor reminded me to do this, so I want to give him credit. Okay. My 4th bullet point is we have some Neola policy updates. They're called Edgar updates, and I'm just letting you know that this is a first reading. You have the packet. Happy reading, because we will adopt them. They're just updates to policies we already currently have, and just want to remind you of that. Okay, number 5, my bullet point is early release reminder, which we have that out on social media. I will be sending out an instant alert to remind our students and staff and our communities that this Friday we are going to be December 18th. We'll be getting out at 1 o'clock. And then just as a reminder for later on, I know May seems like a long way off, but we also have an early release. We'll be getting out at 1 o'clock on May 27th, 2021, which, believe it or not, is not that far off. Okay. I want to get into the Board of Education. We have, bullet point number 6. Last board meeting, we had a drug testing question. I don't know if you recall that somebody had asked the question, does the drug testing that we were looking at for the school, would it detect vaping? And the answer from the biomedical people was yes, it does. Vaping is usually either nicotine or marijuana. We can test for both. So that, if we would go with something like that, we would be able to detect that. I don't remember who asked the question, but I just wanted to make sure that I knew that it was out there. Then the next thing is our informational questionnaire that we talked about last board meeting. So the duty was to get a questionnaire for the board to gather some information to help make decision down the road to what we might do in order to generate needed revenue for the school district, because we're looking at this school district down the road, not only current, but down the road, that we can continue to function. So what I did was I wrote up basically a state of the schools. And what it basically says, in light of the current circumstances surrounding our community, I feel is an opportune time to address the state of our school at North Central Local School District. And what Mr. Smeltzer did was he's starting to going to be doing it from the financial side. And I'm going to talk about in general what we've been doing here. Unfortunately, the 2020 calendar year has brought 2 failed school levies, an earned income tax levy in March, and an emergency school funding levy that failed in November. Along with uncertainty of COVID-19 pandemic and future educational funding, now is the time that as a district, we need to be transparent regarding the current financial situation for North Central Local Schools. As a district, we are at a crossroads in 2021. We have operated for over 16 years without any new operating tax money. We have experienced rising costs due to inflation and healthcare premiums, which this year alone is a 9% increase for 2021. Additionally, we have lost 9.4% in property tax revenues over the past 3 years due to property tax reimbursement being phased out. The district most recently lost $120,000 at the end of fiscal year 2019 and another $120,000 for fiscal year 2020 due to COVID-19 reductions in our state funding. So what we've been trying to do is plug those holes with what we talked about earlier. North Central Local Schools, we are servants to our students, our families, our staff, and our communities. In the event further financial support is not passed by way of a levy, we will have to eliminate critical programs that have successfully served our students and families. In 2012, this school district, this board, implemented what was called co-teaching model that worked wonderfully and has worked wonderfully for our students and staff. But without additional funding, co-teaching will unfortunately be one of the first items that we will need to eliminate. We will also be looking at reducing transportation to state minimums, along with making athletics and some extracurricular activities potentially moving to a pay to participate model. These are just some examples of programs that could be affected. Leading up to the 2021 school year, and this is my 4th year, and just so you know, my 4th year, we've had 2 negotiations, and this will be our 4th levy in just 4 years. We've reduced the administrative athletic director position, a school resource officer position, mental health position, certified staff and special ed, which is a teacher, which is part of that co-teaching, Northwestern Ohio Educational Service Center aide, bus route consolidation and elimination of a full-time driver, cafeteria position reduction, 10% reductions of principals' budgets, no extra summer custodial help for cleaning, movement of staff members in 2 areas and not replacing the positions that were vacated in the best interest of the education of kids. And we do this to make sure that we can continue to operate. North Central Local Schools continue to be the lowest school tax district in Williams County, even if we pass the levy. I just want to get the word out that we'll be on the May 4th ballot for a levy for the purpose of avoiding a continuing operating budget deficit in our schools. Operating deficit is different than what you have in the bank. There's 2 different stories. Once you start eating into what you have in the bank, you have nothing left. So what you bring in and what you spend, we want to stay as even on that as we can. We have not asked for any new operating money for over 16 years. I want you to contact me if questions or concerns arise. We have an online questionnaire and/or questionnaire on the back of the form that this comes on in the mail. And we depend on our great communities for the things we do. What I want to show you is I want to share a screen with you so that you know where on the website that you can go. I think you should see screen 2. Let me see if this is the right screen. Do you see the website? Does everybody see the website?
Yes, it's up.
Okay, the website is up. And then if you go off to the right side where it says info questionnaire, right here, we have the state of the schools, which I just got done talking about. There's a questionnaire in there. There's directions for the questionnaire, and there's a tax affordability comparison of the county school districts. So if we click on the questionnaire, the Board of Education wants to know basically information on 6 things that they would like to compile. There's 6 questions. These questions can be done by clicking on the bottom link here, and you can do it as a form like this. It's a survey. So I just want you to be aware that that's in that spot. And so there it is there. There's directions for the questionnaire, which means if you want to fill it out by paper, you can mail the questionnaire to right here at the board office. You can drop it off to Joey Henry. You can scan and email it below to those 2 email addresses that are listed there. And then there's a tax affordability picture here that shows where North Central is currently, where we would be with a property tax levy, where we would be with an income tax, and then everybody else. So it's just, there's lots of information for anybody that wants to view it. It's on our website. And I just want to point that out.
Mr. Hannick, those
Yes.
are going in the mail this week, and we'd like to have them completed by the end of the month.
Yes, we would like to have them back by January 1st is our goal, because we're going to be scheduling our organizational meeting at this board meeting tonight, which is going to be January 11th. And at that meeting, once we're done with our organizational part, we would like to review the information on the questionnaires. So it gives this Board of Education an opportunity to look at what our folks are saying. I mean, it's very helpful. There's been surveys done or questionnaires done in the district before. There was one done in 2010 that we would like to get more feedback back from our communities. We would like, 1 in 4 back, maybe even better than that. It would be great to get to 50% if we could. And we are just asking for your help. We're asking for input. This is just a way for us to understand what's going on out there. And then later on in this board meeting, there's going to be 3 resolutions on here. There's going to be one for an emergency levy, just like we had before. It's going to be 3.9 mils for 5 years. There's going to be one for an earned income tax. And then there's going to be one for a permanent improvement levy, which is an emergency levy of the extent of 5 years. And the difference between the 3, one of them is based on earned income. And that would be any kind of income that you're earning. Retirement wouldn't be part of that. There's a whole definition of what earned income isn't. And if you want to know, you can contact me at the school. You can read it on that questionnaire that I sent out. It's on there. The other one would be a permanent improvement, which means that we would have to use the money would be reserved for transportation, technology, and anything that's bricks and mortar. It couldn't be used for anything else. And then the other emergency levy would be operating funds. It would go directly in the general fund, and we would use it to spend on general fund expenditures. So that's kind of sums that up. Also later on in the board meeting, there's going to be talk about our wellness funds, student wellness funds. This is year 2. This is Governor DeWine's initiative. This year we received $284,383.82. And the idea behind the wellness funds is to add to and do things in the district for the wellness of the kids. So what we've been doing is we did the playground project last year with part of the money. And once and that was last year's money, but so that was the big expenditure last year was the playground. And we got that updated for kids. We've upgraded the playground so that it's handicap accessible. There's cement out there. It's safe. It was something that needed to be done, and that playground has turned out great. And it is a great resource for our kids. They love it. This year, we are supplanting most of the money into people that work in mental health or mentoring or a school nurse to supplant the money that we spend on those things so that we can keep the general fund balance, so we're not going under as far as deficit spending. That's the goal. I don't know if we're going to be able to reach it, but I put out a couple different versions of it. I decided to recommend option 2 because it went farther in terms of helping our deficit spending. It doesn't give us any projects or anything at this point, and there's going to be roughly $40,000 left over for that. And we may be looking at potentially getting, you know, a bus or something like that that's handicap accessible for our students. But that's going to be a decision that the board makes. So some of the things that I have listed on here is we're going to offset the cost of our guidance counselors, our special ed director, our school nurse. We're going to have, let's see, guidance, ESL services, school engagement connector. We're gonna do our reading program. We're gonna offset that cost, and we're gonna have some drawings drawn. One thing that we're gonna do for maybe a future project is have some drawings drawn in the weight room. That we currently have a weight room, to divide that up and possibly make that into a library area, but that is not anything that we can tackle right now. That would be a big permanent improvement. So currently, right now, with any of those things, we're looking for ways to offset stuff. I don't know if anybody has any questions concerning that or comments.
On that, while you're talking about the wellness, we're on that sheet. What did we overspend on the playground last year? What was the 23,000 this year for?
That was to finish up the cost of the playground, because we supplanted some of the money from last year when it came to March and April, and then to finish up what we owed, we used that money. I believe that's how that worked, Mr. Smeltzer, correct? Because I had to cut the money out of that from last year. I cut it down to, I don't remember the number. I took 20,000 from it, so I had to replace it in this year's to finish up paying the bills. So that's what I did. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I just wanted to make sure that we had that complete and we paid all the bills without using general fund money.
Mm-hmm. And then real quick, getting back to the surveys, you know, I want to speak for myself, and I think on behalf of all the board, you know, and express our gratitude to you. And I know Travis, Joey, Greg, a lot of you done a lot of extra work. Like you stated, that survey is done on behalf of the board. We requested it. We want the information from our members of our school district so we can make the best decision of what's best for our district and our supporters. So I want to thank all of you guys for doing all that extra work for us and getting the surveys out, and it's much appreciated.
We feel like that's our job, and the only thing that we want, to be honest with you, at least from my perspective, is I want to see this district, because it is a great district. It's not just a good district. It's a great district. It's a great place to send your kids. We have hardworking employees here, and we want to be able to compete with everybody else. Our kids deserve what everybody else has. And the only thing I have in it is I want to make sure this place soars into the future. And it has potential. It has lots of potential. I know there's always been some sort of a dilemma when it comes to passing new money, but we need to get past whatever that is and move on to making sure this district's in good financial shape for our kids, for our communities, all of them, and then for our staffs going forward, because this district's going to be around here 80 years from now when none of the rest of us are. This is a big deal, and us coming out of this stronger than ever would be a benefit to all of us down the road. And I have kids in the school district, and many people have kids in the school district and grandkids. And we want to have the best and most competitive school district in all areas that we can provide. And that's just where I'm coming from. I have no other agenda other than that. I have nothing to gain. What I want is for this district to be at the top. And, because my time is not forever. When you're a superintendent in any job like this, your time is finite, but the district goes on. And so the work that we do now is setting us up for the next step. And I firmly believe that the institution is more important than the individuals. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I answer every question, go to anywhere that anybody wants to talk or meet or ask questions. And I know Mr. Smeltzer feels that way. And we're going to do whatever we can to help clear up any questions or concerns. I want to remind everybody that January, I think our organizational meeting is set, or we're talking about the January 11th, 6 o'clock. And then we want to discuss the questionnaire. So we would do it in the same format we're doing this. We'll go over what's on that. And then I wanted to let everyone know that we're working on the calendar for the 21-22 school year. And I think we just about have it ready to go. But part of the process is we got to get it out to the staff to vote on the different versions of it. So that's coming. I just want everyone to realize that is coming. And other than that, I don't have anything unless there's any other specific questions or concerns. I would like to reiterate what Lee brought up at the beginning. The current plan is that general fund money is used for athletics. I'm not going to tell anybody it isn't. Anybody that thinks that we don't spend money on athletics through the general fund, you are sadly mistaken, because the truth is you have to pay salaries, you got to pay for transportation. Athletics does not make money. It's not a money-making operation. It's a service to our kids. Just like all the other things that we do here are service to our kids. Being in the student council, being in the band, being in anything that we do, it's funded by the general fund. Right now, the football program, we have a contract with them year to year that they have been paying. They have done a great job to raise money to continue to be able to participate in football. And what the board simply does is allows them the opportunity to do it as long as it's going along as it is currently. We are in no financial position to take on an extra sport. Whether anybody believes it or not, taking on extra sports is not in our financial future right now. We have to continue to do what we're doing. So I just want to make that clear at this point. I cannot predict the future 10 years down the road. I wish I could, because I could make a lot of money if I could. Anyways, if anybody got any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Bill, I just wanted to thank the staff, everybody that's been involved in putting this together to get the questionnaire out there. I think it's imperative that not only when we go out and we're asking the community to vote or to help us to pass a levy, that they also participate in that. And that's one of the reasons, and the foundation of putting the questionnaire out there is to get a little bit of feedback, or get any feedback we possibly can from those people within the school district that would be participating in this and being a full partner in this program going forward, is to get some feedback from them so that we can make a well-informed decision going forward and make the best decision as a board together so that we can move this district forward. So I appreciate the efforts that were put into this to help us get some feedback so that we can work together as a board to make a good decision on this. So thank you.
You're welcome, and I hope that we get the information that we want.
And to piggyback what Tim said, yes, please just take a few minutes out of your day to complete the questionnaire. And nowhere on the questionnaire are we asking for any contact information, so it can be done anonymously. If you choose to put your name on it, that's fine too. We can follow up further if there are more specific questions that you might have. So appreciate the feedback.
All right.
I want to step on that one also. I've been here a couple of years.
Couple.
And we always need more information from the public. We're here to serve you and hopefully guide the school in the direction that you want us to take it. And sometimes a little bit of input goes a long way. So we appreciate everybody putting time and effort into filling out the questionnaire and giving us some extra guidance. Anything further, Mr. Hannick?
I don't have anything else unless you do. Anybody else?
All right, then I guess we'll see what Mr. Moore has to tell us.
Okay, good evening, everyone. A few updates from the elementary building. Like was mentioned earlier in the board meeting, a big thanks to the staff with the shutdown, talking to some community members, myself, parents, our staff, students. I was able to get on a few Zoom meetings, but it went very well when we had to shut down, unfortunately, a couple weeks ago. The elementary building was hit hard with a handful of cases, student-wise, staff-wise, and it's just not those folks, but everybody that has to then quarantine because of that. So obviously, Mr. Hannick and the board made the decision to shut down. But once again, I think the staff did an excellent job. The students were getting on their Zooms and checking their Google accounts. So all in all, it went well. It's not what I wanted, we wanted, and talking to the staff, the kids were excited about coming back. So all in all, once again, it went fairly well. But again, we like and we love having the kids here, and that's our priority, is keep them here. Secondly, this is the time of the year, the holiday season, the Christmas season, so on and so forth. Traditionally, a night like tonight, we have a full gym getting ready for an elementary program. But unfortunately, just like our Veterans Day program, we're not going to be having that this year. So I just wanted to sure the board was aware of that, but we won't be having our Christmas program. And to be quite honest, probably all of our music programs this year for our 5th and 6th grade band, and I'm sure maybe in the high school type stuff just because of COVID. So on to next year, hopefully we can get everything back up and going for those types of things for our community. I'd like to mention Mrs. Renford does a great job working with a number of churches in our community, a number of businesses in our community, and also just community members, providing a great Christmas opportunity for those students and families that need our help and support as a community. And we've been able to get donations from businesses, like I said, organizations and community members. But the Pioneer Fix and Fab, along with the Pioneer Main Stop, they donated. Organizations, our local FFA donated, along with the Bryan Police Department. Community members, we had Jerry and Ella Green, Mary Smith, and Mrs. Masters preschool classroom. They had a glove drive for needy students and families. So all in all, just everybody pitching in during the holiday season to support 38 students and their families to make sure everybody has a great Christmas. So again, thanks to those folks for chipping in and helping, and Mrs. Renfro for all of her hard work. I also want to thank the Borton family, the Geyser family, the Henry family. Anytime you bring cookies in for the staff, they appreciate that, along with staff member Mary Smith. Mary retired a couple years ago. She brought donuts in to the staff a week or so ago, and she knows it's been a trying year for us. And she just wanted to bring in donuts to the staff, and so we thank those individuals and families as well. Not on my agenda, but I want to touch on a point that Mr. Hannick made with regards to the playground, and Anthony, mentioned that Jan Bostetter retired as an aide a couple years ago, and Jan has been subbing for us off and on, probably 10 or 12 times now, that she's been out at the recess, and she was just amazed at the playground and the change that has occurred out there, from the mulch from mulch and no longer stones, and the concrete and the basketball hoops and the asphalt. She was just blown away by what happened out there, and I totally agree. The students love it. It was needed, and a job well done by everyone. But Jan again stopped me a couple weeks ago, and she said, "Mr. Moore, this looks so much better for our kids, for them to enjoy, and it's a safe environment with the fencing and so on and so forth." So I just wanted to mention that as well. It's much needed and appreciated by the students and staff. So that's all I have. Any questions for me?
getting, like you said, we can't have any music concerts or anything like that. And I know we're down to what, 4 days. Is there any way to maybe just do little snippets of the different kids singing in music and putting it on Facebook Live or something like that? I think it'd bring a lot of joy to people and put some smiles on their faces if we can. It don't have to be fancy, you know, like the Veterans Day program, just something quick put together.
Well, actually, in the veterans program, we had to cancel as well, but we did some of those things with regards to some of the classes and put them on. Deb posted them on the webpage. Miss Gillespie, we're trying to do as many things in music as possible, but we just, even in the classroom setting itself, we have to be careful with all the vocal and singing and that type of thing. So actually, Miss G's been taking the students outside on these cold days because she's like, we need to sing Christmas songs and carols and so on and so forth. So I'll see what I can do here in the next day or two and get with maybe Miss G and Mrs. Myers and see if we can post a couple things out. But she's been actually, Anthony, taking the kids outside so we can spread out and sing those Christmas songs and carols, so to speak. So, but I'll see what I can do.
All right, I think it'd just be a good pick me up for the community. I understand we got to keep our distance and all that. So yeah, we definitely don't want the whole group sitting on a set of bleachers
Right.
together doing a performance. But you know, even if we can get some little clips or something of them saying, I think would be well taken by the community.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Have a nice Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Dr. Roosevelt, your turn.
Thanks. As you probably noticed, you don't have my board report. I forgot to turn in, but I don't have a lot anyway. Winter sports, they have begun, and it's great, except it keeps getting changed. You know, we have something every night of the week, and then we have nothing every night of the week. So it's going back and forth. Greg's doing a fantastic job of getting stuff rescheduled. We had to cancel some things from quarantine, other schools quarantine. It's been a challenge, but we are doing it. They are playing games, and the kids are practicing, and things are going as well as we can. Have started looking at schedules for next year. So I kind of put out a questionnaire to my staff about, we did a modified block schedule this year, and I asked them for suggestions, what they thought was good, what they thought was bad, what should we tweak, what worked, what didn't. Getting a lot of response back, and to be very honest, about 90% of the staff at this point would like to stay with a block schedule of some sort. They like it, and surprisingly enough, the kids really like it. So I'm working on fixing it so that it's better, if that's what we decide to do. Study halls are a pain, and they are definitely an issue. So I'm working on some things to fix that, so to speak. But we are looking at the schedule next year, and we are looking at, there is nothing in writing yet except on my desk, on my notebook, about what it's going to look like for next year. Upcoming events. I put on there, end of the semester is Friday. So that's end of quarter two, which is semester one. And when we come back from Christmas, we'll start right into semester two. And then I also put on there about the live band and choir concerts. Unfortunately, they're basically canceled for the whole year. Now, I've been into the choir and band room and walked by several times in the last few weeks, and they are doing fantastic Christmas music. I stop in and I just stand there and listen to the kids. It's really pretty neat. Finally, I have one very important date in my mind anyway, and that's graduation. It's still set for May 30th. I don't have any clue at this point today what it's going to look like. It could be really cool, and it could be like we did last year, which was pretty cool. It could be in the gym. I don't know about that. So I'm just saying it's scheduled. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. That's really all I have.
Anyone got questions or comments from Mrs. Roosevelt?
Thank you, thank you.
On that block scheduling, I mean, I think it is. I think it is a good idea. I hope we can stick to it. I think the kids maybe are getting a little more education having that longer period. You know,
That's what they
especially with
tell me.
us cramming 8 periods now. I think
They
the
hate
shorter
that.
periods, it's just tough for them to actually learn and apply the material. So I'm glad the staff is enjoying it and the kids, and I hope it's something we can continue.
Thank you. Yeah, the kids, the kids say they hate Mondays now because on Mondays we do all 8 periods and they hate it. I never dreamed that it would be so well accepted, I guess. But it has been. And I would agree with you, Anthony.
Yeah, the only issue I see from my position is those long study halls.
I know, I got that. I know that. They're
Yeah,
bad.
we got to do something about that.
Yep,
But I mean, modify or half a period of study hall or something else.
exactly. There are some classes that you go period half study hall, and that's what I'm looking at. Some of the teachers have given me some really great ideas. That's what we've been brainstorming about. So yeah.
And then what are the, I know I see we posted our homecoming core, and congratulations to all those recipients. What are the thoughts? Are we doing there with any kind of ceremony or
We
just
are
a
looking,
video one?
okay. We are looking at doing a ceremony. We'll probably tape it. It probably will be, you know, a virtual type of thing with the kids. In the gym, we're looking at kind of doing something there. Dance wise, I can't do that. Not yet, not unless something changes between now and the end of January. I can't do the dance, but we are looking at a ceremony. We are looking at honoring the kids as much as we can do. I don't want to say normal, but as much as we can do traditionally, that's what we're going to do.
All righty, thank you. I just seen people were inquiring about it and curious what was going to go on with it.
Yep. Any other questions? Anybody? Well, I want to echo Andy, and Merry Christmas, everyone. And I hope you have a fantastic time with small groups, family, so that we all stay healthy.
Thank you. You do the same.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. Got you one more time.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Wadlett.
So just echoing what Marcia talked about with the quarantine stuff, it's fun because you might get quarantined, other schools get quarantined, and so we're trying to send out weekly updates to everyone involved in athletics. And I don't know if I've had very many weeks where I don't have to send out 2 or 3 more during the week, changing things as far as who we're playing or not playing. But the kids and coaches have been doing a good job, and you don't know who you're going to play, where you're going to play them, or who you're going to play them with. So they've been just doing a really good job of being flexible. We've had a couple days where we find out we can't play someone that we weren't planning on playing, and we've been able to make that work. So just trying to get kids as much as they can get in. And right now, I think we have more boys games scheduled than we're allowed to play because we were able to place one. So, but Ottawa Hills knows that if we don't lose anymore, we won't play them. But we actually have kind of a buffer built in for them. For the girls, we've lost one high school game, I think, that one or two that we weren't able to reschedule or replace. And junior high's lost a couple on each side. But for the most part, we're getting kids as many games as we thought they could. Indoor track's going to be starting this week. They have a meeting. We got the clear from the state that they're able to participate. There was an issue with whether or not they could have indoor season if they didn't have a meet, because then technically they would have been doing outdoor out of season and they would have been ineligible. So it was kind of a tricky situation, but we got some guidance from the state on that just last week, I think. And so we're going to be able to get them in to at least one meet, it sounds like. So there won't be an issue with that. With return to play stuff, with kids who test positive, which thankfully has been a very small minority of our athletes have tested positive. Most of it's just been the quarantine stuff, but just that they need a doctor's note coming back is kind of what we've gotten guidance from the state on. So the note is not optional, but there is a form that's been provided us from the OHSA that kind of gives a return to play template to follow. And it's kind of similar to what a kid would do if they came back from a concussion, as far as starting with light activity and then moving into more and more progression and working back into games. So for the most part, if a kid comes back from testing positive, they aren't playing right away, but they're slowly working in until they're actually cleared officially to play. And then the last thing I have is elementary basketball. There still is no plan to have games as far as a league or anything like we're used to, but we are planning on starting the first full week of January, getting our kids into the gym, trying to keep them in their own groups, and only having parents coach, just to try to minimize as much contact as we can, but at least get kids in the gym, give them an opportunity to do some stuff. So that's the plan, to start the first week of January and get them in there running around and hopefully having a lot of fun.
Any questions for Greg?
Has our new football contract gone out, and have you heard any feedback or
I
gotten
have
any
not
response
gotten-
for a meeting? Or
I have not gotten any feedback. It's been sent to the boosters, but I have not heard anything back about it. We did have a meeting set up at one point, and then one person wasn't able to make it. So we tried to reschedule it, and we have not been able to find a date yet from them to meet. So we sent them the contract with the changes that we taught that were given to me to make. So, but I haven't heard back any comments or anything about it.
alrighty. And I do want to say good job to our kids and in our sporting activities. Coaches, from what I've seen, wearing their masks and keeping it on, and we definitely got to keep that up and keep pretty stern hold on it, that everybody needs to be wearing them and wearing them at all times. And I mean, it's not for just us, it's for everybody around us, and we got to keep it as safe as we can. That way we can keep playing.
Yeah.
Hey, Homer, could I mention one other thing I failed to bring up?
Certainly.
Okay. With regards to, I mentioned the businesses such as Fix and Fab and Pioneer Main Stop, at the churches as well. I failed to mention that helping out our 38 students and their families. We have 4 churches. We have the Lakeview Church, St. John's Lutheran, Pioneer Nazarene Church, and our Pioneer Methodist Church as well. They stepped up and helped out our families. So big thanks to them as well. Sorry about that.
Thanks for that addition. Greg, you got anything else, or does anyone have anything for Greg?
I don't have anything else. So, and the one thing, I guess one thing to add, I'm trying to post when we get games rescheduled, and Kendra just today went through and updated the school website. So, then the school calendar to have all the correct schedules. So I can't promise what's on the BBC website is always accurate, but we're trying to have our school calendar as up to date as possible. And also, Deb's streaming all our games, so thank you to her for doing that. We have a setup for winter sports, and I was quarantined, so I had to watch the boys' game on Tuesday at home, and it worked really well. I was able to watch it, so just thanks to her for doing that. And hopefully anyone interested in watching, because I know a lot of people can't be there that want to, hopefully we're keeping everything as up to date for them as possible, so they're able to watch when they would like to.
All right. Well, I thank you, Mr. Ludlick, and you know I don't look, so you got to tell me when I need to be there. All right, I guess we need to go on to the recommendations by the superintendent. First, we need to set up the organizational meeting for January. Tentatively, we've got it scheduled for January 11th at 6 o'clock. And we will follow that with a discussion of the results from the questionnaires. Is that okay with everyone, that time and date?
Yes, good on my end.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to have our organizational meeting on Monday, January 11th at 6 o'clock, followed by questionnaire. Do I
I'll
have a
move, Homer.
motion?
I'll move, Homer.
Sorry about that. Any second?
I'll second.
Second by Anthony. Questions, comments? Roll call, Mr. Smelter.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
Next, we need to approve our regular January board meeting for Monday, January 18th at 6 o'clock. Any questions, comments?
And if you prefer to do it at 6:30, we could easily change it. That's totally up to you guys. If you want it to be at the regular time or you want it to be at 6 o'clock, you decide and we'll just put whatever you want on that.
6:30 would probably work better for me.
Me too.
Okay. We'll change it to 6:30 then. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I have a motion by Anthony. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Shane. Call roll, please.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer.
Yes. We need to appoint a president pro tem to take care of the president's duties until the January 2021 organizational meeting.
I'll
Who
move
do
to
we-
appoint you, Homer.
Lee wants it to be me. Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to be the president pro tem. Lee
I'll
did
move.
make the motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Tim. If you guys leave me do this long enough, I might get it right. Okay. Roll call, please.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
We need to approve, what is it? Mr. Hannick, help me with this one just a little bit. We need to approve the attached outline for the 2020-2021 wellness grant funds that we have been given.
Yes, they're on that blue sheet of paper, but yeah, it just shows where we're spending that money that I just went through.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that I was correct.
That you guys are okay with supplanting money for positions and trying to help the general fund.
All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Have a motion by Anthony. Do I hear a second?
I'll move.
Tim? Call roll, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane.
Yes.
I need a resolution to adopt an earned income tax levy, declaring the necessity of raising $334,169 annually for the school district purposes for a 10-year period at 0.5% in earned income tax on the May 4th ballot. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
I have a motion by Shane. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Anthony. Call roll, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Next one is a resolution to adopt an emergency operating tax levy necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for a 5-year period at 3.9 mils. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
I'll
Anthony? Do I
second.
hear? Second by Lee. Call roll, please.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
And finally, we need a motion for a permanent improvement tax levy for technology, transportation, and other permanent improvements in the district. This is also a 3.9 mil levy, but it would be for permanent improvements. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
I have a motion by Tim. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, but I also want to point out for those that are listening, this does not mean that all three of these levies will be on the ballot on May 4th. It's just a procedural thing that we have to do right now. And then once we get the surveys, we can go through them, get feedback, and then make a decision on which of these levies we actually do place on the May 4th ballot.
Thank you, Shane. That was something I was going to bring up, but thank you. Call roll, please.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer.
Yes.
And Shane, you pointed that out, which is 100% correct. And with the timelines, in order to have it on the May 4th ballot, if we so choose to do that, we have to have a second reading before January 29th. So what this does is it gives the Board of Education flexibility to do any of those. Nobody would do all of those. That would be crazy. And then if there's no second resolutions, those things just, we can rescind them. We can just leave them die if we want, because they'd never get seconded. It's going to be totally and completely up to the Board of Education what you want to do. But if we don't put it on there, then we have no chance to have it ready for the May 4th. So that's the purpose behind it. There's nothing else to say about that. And it would have to be done by the January 18th meeting or sometime before January 29th. And if it's not, then none of them would go. If we don't do anything with any of them, they would never become eligible to be on a ballot. So
Thank you for the further clarification, Mr. Hanning. Consent agenda, the only thing on here is approving the teacher and paraprofessional substitute list dated November 20th, 2020 for the 2020-2021 school year from the Northwest Ohio Educational Service Center. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Have a motion from Anthony. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Lee. Call roll, please.
Shane,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Any reason for an executive session? Anyone?
yeah, for the purposes of personnel and employment.
All right. Do I have a motion to go into executive session for personnel and employment?
I'll
I'll
move.
move.
I have a motion by Tim. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Shane. Call roll, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Homer,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Shane.
Yes.
There will be no action taken.
7:43. And that will be the end of the active meeting.
If I can jump in.
Certainly. Well, I guess I'm going to take the
Um,
question here from the newspaper man first, Greg, okay?
Okay.
I was just curious. I know you gave the COVID update, Mr. Hannick. I was just wondering if there was any plans to go back to remote learning, or is it just going to be as it was before, that it kind of depends on what the situation is?
Did you hear any of that, Mr. Hannick?
I heard something about remote learning. Is that what he asked about?
Yeah, I thought
Going to remote learning?
Hang on.
Yeah,
just-
can you hear me better now?
Oh, I can hear you perfect now. I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah, apparently I hadn't unmuted it. I was just wondering if there was a plan to go to remote learning, or is it just going to be as it was before, where it just kind of depends on the situation?
We don't have a plan to go to remote learning. However, we do have the ability to go to remote learning. I guess it will depend on the situation, but our plan is to do face-to-face instruction as much as possible, which is in the best interest of our school district. Now, I guess if we had to go to remote learning, it would probably make the most sense to do it 7 through 12, not necessarily in the elementary. So, I mean, that might be something if we felt the need to do that. But right now, we seem to be getting back healthy. So our plan is to go to school and to offer our students and staff and community the option to be here as of right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wildlick, what was your question or comment?
There was a comment about leaving games up on Facebook because we've been taking them down immediately or close to the end of the game. The reason we've been doing that is because trying to not film up online for anyone to watch it, but I'll have a conversation with some people and see if we can maybe leave them up for a set amount of time after the game for people, because people have busy schedules and might not be able to sit down and watch the game. So we want to make sure we're trying to provide that opportunity for people. So that's something that we'll look at. I just wanted to make sure I addressed that comment. Deb had told me there was a question about it.
Is there any other questions that anybody else got online that we need to address at this point?
I just checked email, Homer. I do not currently have anything via email.
Mr. Hannick, do you have anything at this point?
I do not have anything. I do want to make sure with Deb, is it possible to leave games up longer on the website if we wanted to? See what she says. So you can leave them up longer if that's what's decided. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think we
I've
could.
had coaches be concerned, and I totally understand of others watching and getting information for their own teams. And
Right. I get that. I mean, we're not talking about leaving them up for weeks or anything. I think.
right. So 24 hours is kind of a good, what Greg suggested is fine on my end.
Okay.
Whatever they want. I'm just trying to keep everybody happy with the online presence of our athletic activities right now.
Okay. That's a great answer. I just was curious.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I just want to say thank you to everyone and have a Merry Christmas.
Well, I absolutely concur with you on that one, and I hope everyone does have a Merry Christmas and get your questionnaires responses back in so that we have the opportunity to use your guidance in our future endeavors of trying to determine what would be best for the school district. And I want to thank everybody and hope you all have a great holidays.
Thank you, and everybody leave the meeting.